Hey Cameron, so start with going over this video because you said it was kind of everything lumped together, which is great, and then we'll kind of work our way backwards. First off, definitely love seeing you practice in pants. I know it's a bit silly, but it is valuable to start to visualize how you're going to dance when you can actually see yourself in a similar aesthetic. I liked the beginning. I thought it was nice and patient. I liked adding the shoulders in there. Posture looks better. I like seeing your legs a bit straighter here. I like the level change you went into, and I like that you were able to reset into more of a better leg line on the back side of it because you went pretty low into your knees here, but then you were able to find kind of a higher position. Just make sure you're not running the other direction at the end of this, right? As you kind of finish your two, it looks like you're running down the line away from your partner, right? So just being mindful of making sure we're not always moving in opposition when we're asking for a passing pattern, because then sometimes it's going to cut their space off a little bit short. Good job staying moving through that. Cool. Like the dip, I think something to check into is ideally we'll have one knee bent and one leg straight. And you can kind of see this one is like your hips are tilted, this leg is here, and then your knee is kind of broken in on itself. That generally is going to look like a pretty broken leg line. If you're stable here, that's great, but aesthetically, not ideal. So again, getting into more of that lunge position where you have one leg that's straightened out to the side. And then if you are going to keep both your knees bent, then I want it to be in more of a like reverse lunge position. So this leg is bent and this leg can be bent, but it shouldn't be like, you can kind of see your ankle right there is like tilted in on its side. So this is just not a stable position for you to be in aesthetically or when it's like load bearing. Definitely seeing more just better leg positions in general. Your turnout looks better through your knees. I'm not seeing that you get like knocked knees. So I'm going to have you keep doing the drills that I give you for that because it's definitely showing up. Nice. Good patience there. Good. I like the ball change you did coming out of this right there, that little ball change. I probably would have done a little something extra of movement just as you were ducking her because you just looked like you were waiting here. So you did like ball change, duck her under, kind of stand. And you kind of see you're taking steps to adapt your position to kind of where her landing position is. But I would use those steps and make them feel a little bit more danced. So maybe you do a like on purpose and two step or just something that makes your shuffling look a little bit more intentional versus like a bit pedestrian. Nice counter there though. Cool, just double checking this. Just in one-footed turns, and this is something that like every leader has to deal with, is just being mindful of what your free arm is doing in those positions. I would say like ideally bring your hand next to your hip. Some leaders will bring their hand behind their like the small of their back. I think that looks a little bit more ballroom, but something to like glue it next to your, like put it on your leg and like glue it right there. Because otherwise it's going to start kind of spinning a short person right on the other side, or it'll look like that. So we want to avoid that. Nice. It was a nice position so you're anchored into that one. Again, when you're turning your follower, make sure that you're still doing something with your body, even if it's just step, 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 or a lot of the time you'll see leaders go like step, cross, because right now when you're turning her, you're just standing there and it looks really like passive through your whole body. So if you're turning your follower quite a lot and you're passive the whole time and I'm just judging you, that's what I'm seeing. So adding a little bit of movement in your body when you're leading rotations. Nice. In general, that's looking a lot cleaner in your whip. Again, you straighten your leg out at the end, but that was a little too late. So make sure, again, you're catching. I would take a slightly bigger step out with your left foot so that way you have a wider base to start off with. And then as she goes down, you're bending more into your right leg, but that you're straightening out that bending more into your left leg, straightening out that right leg. Nice. Your positioning and your posture through this dance has been a lot better. It hasn't like sloped as far forward or pinched as far back. So that's great. Nice. Cool. So I think the pulse you were trying to do there was probably an upward pulse coming out of or into that like passing action. I went back a little too far, I think so. Yeah. That was a place where sometimes in your tucks when you're getting into compression, you're getting to that pinched position through your shoulders where your shoulder blades are drawing in. So just making sure that like you can catch a little bit further in front of you and then like eccentrically load that left arm closer into the body. But what I want to make sure doesn't happen is it goes almost like your hand tries to go past your shoulder. That's when you're getting in a pinched position. Yeah, here. This pulse, you were probably trying to create some kind of delay in her body. So there's 4 pulses that I don't think we've actually talked about. So pulsing up, if that's the slot that we're going on, and then it goes up, a pulse up is going to create some kind of delay and expansion within that delay of the follower's body. A pulse down is usually going to make the follower's feet collect and make them over-rotate. So if you're doing a bunch of inside turns and you pulse down, it's going to take the follower's side open faster and open them up towards an audience. If you pulse down the line, or 2 pulse down the line, you're actually going to pulse kind of away from your face. So if this is your hand, excuse me and my bad drawings, you would be pulsing away from your body to send your follower down the line. If you wanted them to stay more stationary or come around you, you'd actually pulse back towards your face. And that would take us around in a circle or on the spot. So those 4 pulses, they're just valuable to know. You are using them sometimes, but good to know that there's different ones for different purposes, right? In this particular pattern you were leading, you were asking for a delay, but you were doing it without a pulse. So that's something that I want to add and kind of layer in on top of this pattern. Same thing in your 1 foot, right? When you pulse a 1 foot, usually your follower is setting up the prep and the energy for the first turn, and then you're catching that energy and continuing that pulse. Usually, not always, but usually a 1 foot's going to pulse back towards you because you're asking her to stay on the spot. Cool. Liked the fact that you had a cool move moment. Oopsies. 1 second. Cool. So for the cool pattern you just led, you need more of a prep in your body to actually get through this turn with a little bit more ease. Like you're setting her up, you're kind of posting her, and then you're taking your body through. But I would try to expand this right side a little longer before you send it through and under, because that's the side that you're trying to load up to then go underneath the arm. And right now it's just a little flat. It's lacking a little bit of energy. And so remember that when you're leading yourself in a turn, you still need a prep. Otherwise you're not creating any sort of energy to work with through the rotation. Cool. And then on the other side of it, you only did one of these walk arounds and it didn't look too tight. Just make sure when you send her out, you're going to see your shoulder lifts because you're like, get out of here, right? You're like great posture through this part, and then your right shoulder is like, go away. So generally, I'm not going to want to use the shoulder because it looks bad, right? And it's not going to feel amazing to feel like shrugged off of someone. So usually I'm going to use that elbow and create a little bit of extension into my follower's back, and that's going to create a little bit of send. It's the same way that I would do it if I put my follower into a fold and I'm trying to send them out of that fold position. I'm going to send with the elbow, not with the shoulder. Cool. And then just making sure this was a small moment of it, but just checking into it. We are getting a little bit swayed in your back. We are letting your pelvis kind of tip behind you. There's just a couple of places that I've noticed it in some of your preps. But that's just something to be mindful of in your positioning. It means your core isn't turned on. So we're going to drop that belly button, pull it in towards your spine, and try to find more of that neutral spine. Cool. Now, this, I would have let a rock and go. That would have served the function of, I need you to stay there, and now I need you to come towards me a little bit more quickly. Instead, you kind of stayed flat, and then it was like, there's the thing. And so then you just kind of ran into connection without really any purpose, right? So that to me is kind of hollow. It's not a connected action. It was just kind of running in because there's a musical moment you didn't want to hit, right? I'd rather you miss the moment than disconnect for the sake of trying to hit it. Again, shoulders are lifting kind of through the end of that, so just be mindful of that. We want to find more space, not less space in those moments. There's a nice body lead there. I like a little rotation in your body. Nice. It's actually fun to see your body release a little bit and have a little bit of give to it, a little bit of pulse to it. I don't normally see you create like groovy moments that look authentic, and that one did. Nice. Well, again, be mindful. Sometimes when you are trying to shorten your rope because you're trying to lead double resistance or something, that shoulder starts to pop up because you're drawing your elbow into the body instead of like sending the elbow down and in. Like generally, we need to have that little bit of width that's going to keep us from getting into that like raised shoulder position. Trying to back it up so you can kind of see. And then making sure that, when you are bringing your arm in, we're not trying to take it up. I think it was on the other side of this top. It actually might have been further back. All right, I found it. So it's this spot, and I see this happen quite a bit, and this is usually when you're also going to see your shoulder blades pinch together, is because that elbow is pulling in too close to the body and there's not enough width there. But you'll see as you come around this ronde, you're going to take it nice and slow, you see that shoulder start to lift. And I think it's because you're trying to retract and go like, no, you can't go further away from me, and try to find a little bit of opposition. But then the shoulder starts to crowd your neck, right? And then you will drop it down. You kind of see your shoulder blades are creating that action through the back of the body, so they're kind of pulling in towards each other, which is also going to create kind of a wonky line. And then you drop the shoulder back down to give length again, right? So that's something to check into, making sure that the retraction in the body, you still allow for width to exist between your arms and your body. And then, when you draw the elbow back, the second the shoulder starts to raise, you probably kept the arm too close to your body, because our elbows can actually glide really far behind our body without affecting the height of the shoulder if you have width between your arm and the shoulder. Cool?